This is a 2020 Volvo XC90 and arguably one of the best SUVs on the market today. Now last year I already reviewed a 2019 model and I was blown away by the exterior looks, the interior cabin, the technology, the spaciousness, pretty much everything about the SUV. Now this year, Volvo decided to step it up a notch and do a mid-cycle refresh. So in this review, I'm going to show you the ins and outs. I'm going to go for a drive. I'm going to tell you what the good and bad is, and also rank this among its peers so you guys can decide if this is the right SUV for you. Stay tuned. Before I get started, I want to give a big thanks to Volvo Cars and Lyle, which made this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new or used Volvo, definitely check them out. Their website URL is in the description below. Now, one of the biggest changes to the 2020 mid-cycle refresh is the front end, and that includes a redesigned grille and lower bumper. Now, without having a 2019 sitting right next to it, it's hard to notice, but take a look at the front end. It looks absolutely amazing. One of the best looking front ends on the road today. Now, the grille, this redesigned grille, they kind of slope inwards now, but there's a lot more chrome. You can see the chrome on top and it matches the chrome surround. It definitely pops out. Now the Volvo emblem in the middle, nice and big. Again, a lot of chrome and a camera over here. And the lower bumper has a very sporty and aggressive design. You could see a lot of edges, this chin spoiler or dual chin spoiler setup. And you do have this matte black over here, but it's surrounded with this huge chrome piece that actually looks really good, matches the center grille. Now take a look at the headlights. These look absolutely amazing. You got a big Thor's hammer daytime running lights that really light up. And then take a look at the inside. It looks really, really busy. Look at how many lights there are on the inside. But trust me, at night, this really brightens up the road. Now moving on to the side, it doesn't look as aggressive as the front end, but it does have a good profile shape and a nice stance and the right balance of chrome. And that's important. Now, starting with these wheels, they're 21-inch alloy wheels. These are optional. Normally, Inscription editions only have 20-inch. The 21-inch looks much better. They fill up the wheel wells nicely, and they pop out a lot more. But I want to see how they feel once I start driving the XC90 on the road. Now, you can see a big, beefy aluminum rail on top, and then I mentioned the right amount of chrome. You do see the window surround that is chrome. The door handles have some chrome. And lastly, there is a chrome piece down here that says Inscription in case people want to know. Now this is what it looks like under the hood. Normally I don't show you guys the engine compartment, but Volvo definitely spent a lot of time to make this look good and make it look clean. So you can see there's a lot of body panels all around, or engine covers everywhere. There's not a lot that's exposed. And what's unique about this engine is, because this is the T6 engine, it is both supercharged and turbocharged. That's right, supercharged and turbocharged. It's a 2-liter engine that's pushing 316 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now moving on to the backside, this just screams Volvo, but not in a bad way. But you could tell because the taillights, how they go from the top all the way over here. Now this is all LED, so that's obviously nice. You got a spoiler up here, a large glass, and take a look at a bottom bumper. You have some pop. So you do have this chrome bar that goes all the way across, and then the exhaust surrounds, also chrome, nice. And down here, you do have a different color, silver color that matches here, that gives it a bit more pop. Now, as for the trunk, it's a good amount of space, not enormous because the third row is up. Take a look, there's a good amount of space over here for your luggage or boxes or groceries, but there's no hidden storage underneath here. It's just spare tire and tools, so you have to figure out, get some nets or dividers. You have a 12V outlet over here, and you got some hooks on each side. The problem with the third row is it's very easy to fold the seat down, well, somewhat easy, but extremely hard to fold it back up. So in this class, a luxury large size SUV class, I would expect some electronic switches over here, or levers, so that these would fold down electronically or fold up electronically, something. Not here though. In this XC90, you pull this up, so this folds down relatively easy, right? As long as the seat is up enough, because if it's not like that, then it will get stuck. Well, when you want to lift this back up, there's no straps or anything to pull. Like even in a Honda Pilot or something, there's a strap, so you can easily pull it. There is nothing, and it's not electronic, so the only way to fold that back up is to get into the second row, then push it back up from the second row. That is an extremely, extremely big oversight. This is another big change for 2020. Now you have captain chairs as an option. So instead of sitting for 7, it's sitting for 6. So as you can see in the middle, there's a large gap. So this is really nice for kids that's going in the third row. They could definitely slide in between there, and even for adults. Let me show you. So I'm gonna get into the back here. See, this is how you have to fold it up, unfortunately. But once you get that up, you can easily move to the third row, although the space is a little limited. I am 5 feet 10, and this is the rear's position for the second row, so my legs hit, but for short distances, this is fine, and kids, of course, can fit back here. And over here, you got a set of vents, cup holders, I don't know, for whatever you want. Of course, you can slide the seats forward to give you more leg room. And in terms of up here, headroom, I feel like I have maybe an inch. That's about it. And you can see there's speakers up here, which is nice. Now, moving on to the front. Let me get over there. Over here, you got cup holders, you know, probably a phone tray, and you got temperature control and 2 vents, which is really nice. Plus, these seats actually are heated as well, which you can control over here and up front once I show you that. Up here, you do have a big panoramic roof that goes all the way from the front to the rear. Once this opens up, it lets so much light in. And over here, you can see you do have sunscreen for the second row. So that's always nice to block out the sun or kids that happen to be sleeping. Now moving on to the second row, I already guys showed you everything that's over here, but in terms of space, plenty of it. I'm 5 feet 10, so a good 68 inches of legroom left, plenty of headroom. The seats, I talked about how you could move it forward and backwards to generate more space for the third row. And plus, the seat backs also, you know, you can move it forwards or recline all the way down, and when you have it in the furthest position, it's a really relaxing position. And plus, these seats are very comfortable and they look gorgeous too. So they have the best combination of looks and comfort. Now, I'm in the front, starting with the seats. They do say inscription over here, but take a look. It has a really sporty design. So it does look like sport seats, kind of, but they do feel very good. This is Napa leather. It is ventilated, heated, and I'll let you know how comfortable it is once I start driving. Moving on, take a look at a door panel going to the center here, the infotainment, and then moving down the center console, and take a look at the gauge cluster and the steering wheel. Everything in this Volvo looks very elegant, simple. It's not very cluttered. In fact, it's very, very uncluttered. There's almost no buttons anywhere. And I love the design, and all the Volvos I reviewed has this new look, and it looks and works amazingly. So take a look at the wood insert. This walnut wood insert looks really nice, adds some contrast. Take a look at those door handles. Man, they are aluminum, nice and thick, and it really pops out. Now, this infotainment system, 12.3-inch screen, and you could pretty much do everything here. So take a look. If you scroll to the right, this is where you have all your apps. So Apple CarPlay, Android Auto over here already, but you have more. Car status, messages, driver performance, and your radio. AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, all that stuff is on the very right side. Now, if you scroll to the middle, this is kind of like your dashboard of things. Your current position, your radio, if your phone is paired, and your fuel consumption, and it shows you a lot of nifty things. Now, to go back, you press this. This is a home button, and it kind of goes back. And then if you scroll to the left side, this is where it's all of your settings that you could turn on or off. For example, this is a lot of the safety features like park assist and lane keep aid, cross traffic alert, auto start stop, those kind of things. And then if you go down, they have some features for parking, like getting out of parking spots. You can park into spots. Heads up display, this is for your heads up display. You could adjust how high it is, how bright it is, and take a look. Blind spot monitoring. You can adjust your passenger seat from here. So your normal controls for your driver's side, if you wanted to adjust the passenger side, you simply click that, and then your seat controls will then control that side. That's really cool. And of course, you have cruise control, corner illumination, active bending lights. I talked about that. Wiper service position. Take a look. If you need to change your wipers, boom, it just comes up for you. How cool is that? And then collision avoidance system. So this is all like the settings that you may want to turn on or off, although I don't know why you would want to turn them off, except maybe start stop. Now, in terms of climate control, they take a bit of getting used to. Now, you're probably wondering, oh, how do you get in here, right? So there's 4 climate zones in here. Up front, there's 2, and each side you simply click on it, and you can adjust up or down, right? However you want to do it, and if you're done, then hit close. Same thing on this side. Now, for heated and ventilated seats, you would click on these seats. Heated steering wheel, this is for heated seats, this is for ventilated seats. And for each one, there is 3 different levels, okay? Now, in the middle here, this also controls the climate control. Now, if you want to just auto, you don't want to deal with the individual climate zones, all you have to do is click auto, and that's it. But you could adjust the fan speed over here as well. Okay, if you go up here, go to parking climate, this is where you can precondition your car so that if it's a hot day out, you could have it preconditioned and turn on the AC and turn on the car for you. There's a lot of cool stuff that you could do here. And then the main climate, and then you can control the rear climate. Since it's 4 zones, you could control the 2nd row and the 3rd row, right? It just depends on if you want to let them have air or not. And that's how it works. This is super smooth. Look at how smooth this is. This is as fast as an iPhone or Android, and it works the same way because you could pull down and take a look on the top. You have settings and notifications. This is beautifully designed. This is the best infotainment system I have ever used or tested so far. Hands down, the best one. Now, moving over here, you got a few buttons. This, you want to know how to open that. This is what this is for. So a lot of people want to open a glove box. They're like, hey, there's no handle. Well, that's how you do it. This is for kind of your controls for your media, and then you got some defroster options there and hazard light. And then moving down here, this is very elegant. You do have a place for your change. This opens up to 2 big cup holders, and you got 12V outlet, and you got a normal shifter, really nice. If you want to go into manual shifting, basically move it to the side, that is it. Engine start stop is here. You don't actually press on it, you actually turn it, which is unique. Then you have drive mode. If you click on that, you can select eco, comfort, dynamic, off-road. Not that anyone would ever take this XC90 off-road, but you can select it. You got a few functions for braking. Now, over here, this is where you get a couple USB ports down there and a big glove box. So I guess the only thing really lacking is USB ports. You only get 2 over here. You don't get any in the back, and there's none up here. So it is lacking USB ports. So looking at a gauge cluster, this is one gigantic screen, 9-inch screen, and this becomes standard across all XC90s for 2020. Now, the tach and miles per hour, they're flipped around. Usually the miles per hour is over here, but that's okay. But this is, this is your tach, and then of course what gear you're in up on top. You got temperature, tells you some of the safety features that you have on, and also the clock, and over here, of course, your miles per hour, and it gives you a subtle reminder of what the speed limit is. In addition to here, if you press this button, you can open up a little menu here that gives you a trip computer, what you're listening to on the media, your phone, your navigation, so that pops up over there. Now, this steering wheel, I gotta say, it works, but
you know, it doesn't look very modern or sleek. After reviewing some of the ones, even from like Nissan or Honda or Toyota, they have better looking steering wheels. But luckily, this feels good, and it's very simple design, kind of like the infotainment system, right? So you can control your menu here, and here's some safety stuff. So it's very basic in its design, and we'll see how this feels once I start driving. And over there, all you have is the power tailgate button, and that's pretty much it. This is pretty standard, of course, window controls, and over here you do have the memory seats, 3 settings, and this XC90 is equipped with the Harman Kardon speaker system, which sticks out and looks nice. So let me show you the backup camera real quick. So if you go into reverse, of course the backup camera comes up. It is a super high res screen. I love it. Super high res, and you could see the 360 view if you wanted to, but it goes beyond that because you could see the individual camera view too. So for example, if you want to see ahead of you, you can. So that's really, really cool. The seat adjustment, there's a button on the side of the driver's seat. If you press it, so here you could adjust the side bolsters where you can make it come in or out. You could also adjust the lumbar, and you could adjust the cushion extension. Up here, pretty simple, but I want to open up this huge panoramic sunroof to kind of show you guys how much light it lets in. Now it is tinted, okay, so it's not letting 100% of light in, but it's enough, and it goes all the way back to the front. So definitely a nice thing to have. All right, it's time to go for a drive. Let's see how this XC90 behaves on the road. Now, first impression is, yes, this is a special ride. The comforts of it, the quietness of it, the acceleration, the steering feel, everything about the drive right now just makes me feel like, yeah, this is a special ride, really special ride. Those 21-inch wheels, I'm not feeling the bumps. It's actually really smooth right now. I'm not really feeling much at all, except that I can take these corners relatively fast without any body roll, so that's really good. And the steering feel is precise. Well, these seats are really, really comfortable. You can adjust the back bolsters. You can adjust how narrow or how wide you want it to be. You can adjust the bottom one, but just by adjusting the back one, it holds you in. So even though these are leather seats, I'm not really sliding around. A little bit, but not as much as I thought I would. So that's a good compromise. The turn signals are obviously digital because you got the whole gauge cluster that's digital, but it makes a simulated analog sound that I love. I love it. Hopefully this comes through. One of those small little things I love about Volvos. Okay, so I'm gonna get some distance. So I'm traveling 30 right now. So let's do 30 to 60. Wow. Wow, that's a good amount of torque right there. When I floored it, there was a slight lag, but then boom. Like I got pushed back in the seat. I could feel the back hunch down. 360 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, and it's supercharged and turbocharged. So you have that instant torque from the supercharger, and then you have the turbo giving max horsepower. I don't know how Volvo did it, but they figured it out. They're one of the only manufacturers to do this. So, and it works from a 2-liter i4 engine. What's interesting is, you know, the shifter has manual shifting, but there's no paddle shifters here, which is interesting. So you have to manually shift up or down using the shifter. I kind of expected some paddle shifters. Now that I'm coming to a stop, the brakes feel good. They're predictable. They feel normal. It doesn't catch on too early or late. It has a nice linear feel to it. Now, as for visibility, as expected, is great. Better than great, it's awesome. Front windshield, nice and big. The gauge cluster hump up here doesn't get in the way. The door panels, they don't go very high, so the side windows are nice and big, and even the rear window, it's huge. It's huge because it doesn't slant down very much. I will say though, when the third row, the headrest is up, it does kind of get in the way. So if you want to be unobstructed, then make sure you put them down. Now the auto stop feature, the engine auto stop that you could turn off, I purposely left it on because I want to see if it gotten better. And it seems like it has. In the past, some of the Volvos I've driven, I feel like there's a lot of delay before the engine starts up. This one, barely noticed it. So I feel like Volvo's been tweaking that, and it's to a point where I feel like I could just leave it on without it being bothersome. Now, as for safety features, I showed you guys in the menu, you get it all, pretty much everything. Blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, auto braking, cross traffic alert, everything you could think of, you pretty much get. So to be nitpicky, there's a few things that I don't like. The steering wheel, I mentioned about the looks, I could live with that, but the leather feels synthetic, doesn't feel anywhere as good as the seats. So I feel like the leather used on the steering wheel, Volvo cheaped out a little bit. Also, the adjustment for this, you know, it's telescopic, so you can adjust it up or down, forward and backwards, but it's manual. It should be electronic in a car of this class, so that is also something I want to nitpick on. Now, in terms of the price, the lower base trim in the XC90, the T5 version, surprisingly, that starts in the 40s, okay? And that competes with the high-end, let's say, Highlander and Pilots. Now, if you get the upper trims, like this one, the Inscription T6 engine with all the options, it's topping close to $70,000. This one is just a tad under. But XC90, there's a lot of trim levels, a lot of options. It just really depends on what you're looking for.
Now let's talk about the good and bad to this XC90. Starting with the good, it definitely has a gorgeous and modern exterior styling. The interior cabin is simple and elegant. The infotainment system is the best I've ever tested. There are comfortable seats with many different adjustments. There is now 6 and 7 seat options that is available, and it has a very strong T6 engine. Now, as for the bad, opening up the third row seats is definitely a big oversight. The second row does lack USB ports. Power tailgate hands-free feature is iffy at best. The steering wheel leather feel isn't quite up to par, and lastly, there's no power adjustment for the steering column. And finally, I give this 2020 Volvo XC90 T6 Inscription a score of 98. And if you want to see how this SUV ranks among other luxury SUVs, then check out driversonlyrankings.com. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out some of these other videos. Until next time.